A landmark paper that was published in the New England Journal of Medicine is going to blow your mind with regards to how we can deal with our resistance and our resilience and our adaptability and our ability to make ourselves inhospitable hosts. Hi there, I'm Dr. Greg Venning. I'm author of the book Thrive, Only for Those Who Want to Be Healthy by Activating Your Vitality from the Inside Out. And in a few of the previous videos, don't worry if you haven't watched them, but we've covered how we're living in interesting times and we're getting a lot of messages about how to live our life and what to do, like social distancing and lockdown and quarantine and washing your hands a lot and sneezing into your elbow. And these are all really useful. And again, I encourage you to follow those recommendations of your local authority. But those outside-in messages have the unintended side effect of making us feel very disempowered, of making us feel very fearful, of creating a lot of worry and anxiety and heightening stress. Now, this article from the New England Journal of Medicine that's been cited a lot in the scientific literature, they took 394 people and they took one of 4 different strains of viruses that are upper respiratory tract viruses. And one of them was a coronavirus, not the one that we have going around now, but it was one of them. And they took one of those 4 different strains, and each person literally got one of those strains sprayed up their nose. So they got a direct dose of a virulent virus. Now, they'd taken questionnaires and done analysis of each of these people before, and then they followed them for about 28 days. And they wanted to find out who got sick. So they measured a couple of things. They measured whether they smoked or not. They measured, they obviously knew their sex, they measured their weight, they looked at activity level, they looked at nutrition, they even took blood measurements and looked at their immune system on blood tests. And what they looked at is they looked at who got infected, so who had the virus actually take hold and start replicating, and then from there who developed the flu. And now those are 2 different steps. Now sometimes we forget that those are 2 different steps. So getting the virus up your nose might make you infected. It didn't. It was about just under 80% of people became infected. And then only about 35% of people actually got the flu, more for some viruses and others, but about 35%. So that's fascinating. So they looked at what was it that delineated that, because often we think that once you get it, you get it. No. There's steps along that way. So when they looked at these people over these 28 days, they tried to figure out what was the most predictive factor that would tell them whether somebody got the flu or not. What was interesting was it wasn't smoking, it wasn't weight, it wasn't nutrition, it wasn't even the blood tests from before. The most significant factor that would tell you whether you would get ill or not was psychological stress. Now, guess what some of the biggest things for psychological stress are? Fear and worry are a huge one that's being caused not just necessarily by the virus, but by our response to it as a society, and especially the social media and mainstream media giving us fear and contradictory info and a whole lot going on there. But then the other thing is social isolation. Humans are social creatures, and social isolation is a massive stressor on our mind-body, especially in the psychological context. Now again, please follow the recommendations of your authority. We are here at home as well. So these are unintended side effects, but now we are the ones who get to take control. We are the ones who now get to mitigate this change, because we can decide what we want to do about the stress. So what to do about it? I would like to, in future videos, we'll talk about nutrition, we'll talk about movement, we'll talk about supplementation, but let's get some practical, actionable advice on stress, on mental and emotional stress in this situation. So let's assume you might be on lockdown or even quarantine. Okay, so you're confined to home, maybe even just a part of the home, and you're not really allowed out. Now, first thing, most important thing is routine. Some really interesting studies in routine over time, but one of them found that one of the simple acts of making your bed first thing in the morning helped people to feel better about themselves and about their life quite significantly. So if we can build on small routines during the day that we consistently do, now that can be as simple as making sure we get up at a reasonable hour, not sleeping in for hours and hours and hours, making sure you get up and get dressed. Wear something that makes you feel good. Don't just stay in your jammies all day. Make your bed. It's a really simple one. Include some movement in your day somewhere, whether it's, I've got my skipping rope out, so now I can do some skipping, or whether you can do some body weight movement, so you've got some stairs you can go up and down. We'll explore different option types, different movement types and different options in future videos. So movement's a big one. So these are small habits, routines, rituals, rhythms that you can build in. Talking to a friend at a certain time of the day, maybe different friends at different times today. Make sure you build in that social connection as part of that routine as well. A really powerful habit to have is journaling. Now, there's so many different forms. You don't have to get bogged down by this, but simply getting a blank page open in front of you and writing down your thoughts and your feelings. It can be as simple as that. You can build gratitude into it. Gratitude is an amazing way for us to reframe the situation we're in. So, for instance, all of us, on some level, somewhere deep down inside of us, have a yearning and a burning to be doing something big with our lives. We call it living your bigger life, and that's part of what we might call your purpose. And some of us have figured out purpose at this point of our lives, and for some people, sometimes the most interesting people, they haven't figured that out yet. But now, during this time, you might have days or weeks or sometimes even maybe months in certain situations where you are called to find what that is. And there are courses online, there are major resources available for you to do this. Now, you'll know when you're on the right path, when you feel like you have more energy to do it. Because when we're aligned with our highest purpose, our highest values, we get energy, we get drive, we get not even motivation, we get inspiration to do it some more. So doing some work and finding out where our drive and our motivation leads us, this is a fantastic, amazing place to go. So we've got routine, we've got journaling, and we've got gratitude. A big one I'm going to ask you to do that's going to sound really contradictory is limit social media. Now, you might be watching this on social media, so it is not ill or bad, but oftentimes what we use it for is not great. So my advice to you, quit scrolling. If you go onto social media, know what you're looking for, certain people you might listen to, comment with, but quit the scroll. Like as soon as your thumb stops doing that, just quit. All right, we can take back control. You can take back control, because mental and emotional stress is not a condition, it's a frame. We put things in frames and we have the story within this frame. Now we can shift the frame. You can shift from depression to gratitude. You can shift from worry to awareness. You can shift from victim to creator. The power is yours. It might not always be easy, but small habits are the things that take us towards that space. Take back the power. Begin to live your bigger life. Whatever platform you're watching this on, please like and share, and let's get this message out. People need to know this more than ever. You can be resistant and resilient from the inside out. So you can resist the infection. You can resist the illness. Now, whether it's a virus, whether it's mental and emotional stress, whether it's a chronic disease, you can resist that process from ease, from health to dis-ease, and maybe even disease. But you can resist that process because your body is always trying to give you vitality. It's always trying to give you health. It's always trying to give you your biggest life. So let's work with it. Let's do this together. Have an amazing day.